Hello, hello. You're welcome back to the lab. I'm here. I am Kel, and we're here with Cody. Also, that was really awkward. One day I'll get these introductions right.
Yeah.
Today is not the
We'll just
day.
we'll just like skip the intros and be like, "What's up? All right." So
All right, let's just
I'm
move
just
forward.
kidding. We know we aren't great at this. I have a hard time saying like cutting it, like saying goodbyes, just in general, but also in podcasts. I don't know how to stop it. I'm just like, okay, bye.
You're like trying to Irish goodbye a podcast.
Yeah. I just leave and like slowly sneak out.
You just fade off the camera.
Yeah, I was like, this is how I leave parties. Not that I go to
Well, today
parties.
we're talking about gender affirming surgery and kind of how you can maintain it, and like stay consistent with your goals, even when you're having to take off time for surgery, because we all have to do it if you're, well, at least a lot of trans folks have to struggle with this and have to go through part of this. So, trying to make it feel good and stay consistent. So,
Yeah,
but before that, how are you
yeah.
doing today, Cody?
Pretty good. Just got back from TMS, which is, where they like magnet they put the magnet coils on your brain and it feels like you're being shocked. So I'm a little spacey. Just like it's weird because you have like I'd say like the first hour afterwards, you're like a little kind of brain fog, just kind of tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of dissipates throughout the day. But I'm like, wow, it was very fresh. So my apologies in advance if my brain is not up to par. But outside of that, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's raining here for the first time, so we got our first little, piece of fall. And by rain, I mean like a drizzle. But yeah, it's good. How about
it's
you?
been it's been so freaking nice here, and now that I'm in the woods, we're seeing like the color changes, and fall's really kind of showing off right now where I am at in southern Ohio, and it is cold. I had frost on my windshield today, so
Ooh.
it is cold. Turned on the heat this week, so that's fun.
Do you so I know since you moved, do you get more snow where you're at or is it about the same?
It should probably be a little less snow
Oh,
because we're further away from the lake and more south than I was before. So it's usually a few degrees warmer down here. I'm also like kind of like in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, so like kind of in a valley.
okay.
Um, so I think we're pretty protected from snow. So I think it should be a little bit more mild of a winter, not by
Yeah.
like a ton, but
Yeah.
still in Ohio. But
Yeah. Well,
um,
that's
that
cool.
should be nice. But the colors are fucking beautiful, and
Mm.
that's been awesome. Really making me want to get out and get those steps outside.
Yeah. Fall is the best time for like outside walks because it's just so pretty. And like summer, you're kind of dying. You can only do it like early morning or evening. But at fall, you could go any time of the day. You don't have to worry about sweating your balls off.
Yeah.
Although it could be cold depending like where you're at. But you can bundle up and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Des and I were watching this. We were watching Unsolved Mysteries, and there was this
Good
park.
show.
Yeah, a lot of shit happens in Ohio, apparently.
Yeah. That
It's a lot of Ohio,
doesn't surprise me.
and so this was particularly it was Cleveland, and this murder happened in this park, but it was such a beautiful park, and Des and I kept being like, maybe we should move to Ohio, but it's Cleveland, so a little different. But yeah, it was beautiful, and I was like, you never think that, a true crime story would make you want to move to the location that it was occurring. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Cleveland's where Maddie's from, and the parks up there are so nice, um, and they're all like metro parks, so they're like kind of in the city, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Ohio ain't
Yeah.
that bad.
No. Yeah. Do you prefer like Columbus area or Cleveland? Which do you think is better?
I'm partial to Columbus because there's a lot more things to do. Cleveland, what is one of those cities kind of like Pittsburgh that had a lot of like blue collar work and then got fucked over. So it was like a big bummer city for a long time. And sorry for anybody from Cleveland who is hating me. And it was like pretty polluted up there. But in the last few years, I feel like especially it's been like a renaissance. Like a lot of stuff is going in. It's getting a lot nicer, and a lot more businesses are coming in and stuff like that. So that's good.
Cool.
So, but I like Columbus better personally.
Yeah. That makes sense. Where you're from, all that.
Yeah.
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 Cool. Well, speaking of Columbus, I'm just kidding. It has nothing to do. Olympia.
We do have the Arnold though.
Oh yeah, that's true. You do have the Arnold. That is next. So excited to see that one and how that goes. But we did just have the Olympia, uh, and that it was a different Olympia than I was expecting. I kind of wish I would have paid that $75
Yeah.
for this stream, because I was just like constantly on either YouTube or Instagram trying to figure out like what was happening.
I was just refreshing Instagram.
Yeah, same. And it's harder because when you don't have the live stream, you can't make your own. You can't have your own opinion of who you think is going to win, because you don't see all the things. You just see like whatever people are posting, and it could be just one shot. Maybe it's just front or side back, but you didn't get to see like the whole routine or all the comparisons. So it's a little harder to give an estimation or like a educated guess of like, oh, this is who I think is going to take it. So it was different in that regard for sure, but also just a lot of upsets and plot twists. So what do you think about that? Should we start with any division in particular?
So dramatic. I don't know. Let's start with the big. Let's start with the big guys, because the first drama started like the week before when we found out that Nick wasn't going to compete, and I feel like that like made me think, oh, this is going to be a weird Olympia. Not because he's such a big it's just he's such a big character and such a fan favorite that I feel like him dropping out just like left people like, ooh, who are we gonna pick to be the winners and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I guess like when you think of Nick Walker, you think of the Olympia, just because he has been such a strong voice to wanting to win and where he's going to place, and because he did basically progress so quickly to the Olympia, and it's crazy because it's just he's dropped out twice in a row. Last year he had an injury, makes sense. That was shitty. This year was kind of a surprise because he didn't let on the whole time. Like I went back and reviewed his Instagram. Like this is all controversy in and of itself of, Nick dropping out, why he dropped out, should he have dropped out. But I was definitely disappointed to see that because, you always want to know where someone's going to lie in the placings. But going through his feed, I did notice that he wasn't posting any updates. He would have some videos where he'd just be like, oh, 2 weeks out, but you couldn't really see like his physique and stuff. So I'm wondering, how long did they know that he wasn't going to compete? They just weren't, saying anything. Especially in the video, he didn't look like he was close to, he didn't have like the prep face or anything, not even close to prep face. He looked a little chunky, to be honest. So I'm just like, what was going on there? And the way that they did it was a little strange. Matt who is his coach and was explaining why he was dropping out, and the explanation just didn't make sense. It's like, it's one thing if it's a health issue, no one's gonna, blink at that. Health is important. You can't compete if you're not healthy. And he said something along the lines of like, Nick is so used to living in chaos that when he was no longer living in chaos, his body stopped responding. I'm like, well, fucking shit. It's the other way around. It's like, how it works. No, not at all. It's like, maybe he's not in chaos, but maybe some of the chaos was what was driving him to, push through and take control of things. So there's a lot of shit with bodybuilding I feel like can be control issues, and maybe that was like his thing. And now that he doesn't have as much going on, he isn't as inclined to try to control his food and training and stuff. I don't know, or maybe he's depressed. That's also a legit thing. I could see that happening. Once you get through chaos, you have to start processing all that shit, and it's not easy. And it's very easy to get depressed doing that. So, like, that would be my assumption, along with him maybe not wanting to not place, because if we do look at who won in the lineup, I don't think he would have been top five. So, what do you think?
Well, I agree with you, and I think also, um, like he's been such a loud voice and so cocky and confident about his placement, which is fine. But like, my guess is if he would have continued placed like shit, and like I would imagine that has back backlash in your money, like from sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
So and that's how these bodybuilders like make money and do this as a job. Sponsors are very important. So I imagine, I do think it was weird. I think it, who knows why, but I do think it was weird, and that Matt said it. And I also thought it was interesting because I feel it's kind of funny to me how, I feel like coaches do really well with all their athletes at the Olympia, or they do not great with
Yeah.
all their athletes at the Olympia. And I
Yeah.
think Matt struggled a little bit this year.
I definitely think he struggles, even with Sean Clarita,
Exactly. That's what I was
not
thinking. Yeah.
winning. And you could definitely tell, Sean had some wear and tear, and he is on the older side, and he's been doing it for a while. And I, I don't think it's necessarily Matt's fault or
Oh
anything.
no, no, not at all. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just like a lot of people were being like blaming Matt, but he's notorious for being very consistent. You can't control your athletes. Sometimes shit happens, and he doesn't have a whole lot of athletes right now. I think is the main thing. He said he only coaches like minimal. I know his other one is Brett Wilkins is an athlete.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He had to drop out of the O last year, but I've been following him for a while, and he has a very, very fast metabolism. So to even put on size, he has to be eating a shit ton. So he had a lot of gut health issues, because that can happen when you're constantly just trying to, you're overfeeding your body. That's bound to happen. So he had to like drop out to, get healthy. And I think he recently won a different
He just won
show.
like 2 weeks ago at
Yeah, yeah. So I think
and he
he
looked great.
qualified. Yeah, he did. I think he qualified for the next Olympia through that. It'll be interesting to see how he does, because he's not competed in the Olympia yet. So he'll be new, if he makes it. But, he does have a great physique. He has actual shape to him. He's not
Mhm.
just like a brick.
A refrigerator.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think the hard part too with Matt, which I feel like if I were him, I mean, I give him a lot of props, because I don't know if he used to coach Dallas McCarver, who died um, pretty young. And
Mhm.
so a lot of the times, the weapon that people use when he has an athlete that either isn't doing well, they say like, oh, well, he's going to kill him like Dallas, and I'm just like, people are so fucked up to say that shit. So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like Dallas had some genetic situation that contributed to what happened. It wasn't like because Matt did something. It was just like
Right.
his specific to his health thing that they didn't really know about. From what I heard, at least, I know it probably makes him more aware of health stuff, and he is more health conscious with blood work and all that stuff. But people like to use that as a weapon against him. Like, they'll never let him forget. I'm sure he's never
I
gonna
don't think he'll
fucking
ever forget.
forget.
Yeah.
No, so just like for him to still coach people and like do like be keep going the way that he does, I'm just like,
Yeah.
oof, stronger than I am. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not gonna coach anymore. Like, even if someone died and it wasn't my fault, I'd be like, no, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge responsibility, and it does really suck. And would be so traumatizing.
Yeah, yeah. I did. I don't. I did a mentorship with Matt. Like, I think it was three years ago now, and he did talk about that situation where I guess there was some investigation that went into it, but like it never developed to anything. Um, but he did talk about like when he got the phone call and he just like knew he was gone, and just oh, I can't even imagine. So I never want to have to experience that. This is awful.
No, definitely not. But all right, so let's move into the actual Olympia, and we can talk about the. Um, well, I mean, we might as well stick on the open.
Yeah,
So Samson ended up winning, which I was stoked about. I've always really liked Samson. His physique, I think, is
same.
amazing. I really like his story that he shares. His wife coaches him, which is pretty cool. Um, and I think he has a really cool work ethic. I really like his like I've listened to a bunch of interviews with him, and he just seems like a really chill, humble guy who works his
Yeah,
ass off.
yeah, I like him, and he's got a YouTube channel. I haven't watched his stuff in a bit, but I used to watch his stuff, and he's just so chill. You know, like he just seems like a good guy, and it's I think him and his wife's dynamic is like super cute,
Yeah.
and like that she coaches him, and she didn't used to like. So like Milo was his coach last year. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
Uh,
when he fired him, and
yeah, and I guess apparently it's because he was mad that he was listening more to his wife. And now he's like, well, fine. I'll just listen to my wife, and she brought home the win. So
the
like,
gold.
that's fucking awesome.
Did you see
So
their little photo shoot that they did together with the trophy? That was so fun. It was so
yeah,
adorable.
it was. Yeah. So it was an upset because, I figured Derek was still going to win. A lot of times in the open, there's repeats, especially because Derek's physique was just like
Nutty.
amazing. Yeah. And he came in a little off this time. He could have been a little leaner. He didn't make much improvements from the year before it. And like his back's so fucking big, it made his lower body look kind of small. Um, so I thought maybe they're gonna give it to Hottie because he looked pretty damn near flawless. Like his conditioning was insane. He always has insane conditioning, but I feel like this was even better than years prior somehow. Um, but yeah, it went to Samson. Um, were there politics involved with that? Maybe, but at the same time, I feel like Samson deserved it. He's just got a
Yeah,
great physique.
he's got a great physique, and I think it sets it up because let's be honest, this is a sport that people want to know the drama and want to see the drama, and like if it was political or like it's really cool to see these rivalries and these three guys go back and forth, and I think even more are going to come closer and closer um, to kind of fighting it out and getting that drama piece for us to watch and
Yeah,
analyze and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's pretty fun. But it was really cool to see Samson win. I met him at the Arnold last year. Well, he was actually I don't know if I've told this story. So I used to work at a gym in Columbus, and I was walking in because I was an opener, so I opened the gym. So I was walking in at like 5 a.m. and it's like pitch black in the middle of the city, and some massive person comes up behind me with his hood on, and I'm like, who the fuck is behind me? Samson is big, like he's a tall
yeah,
body,
yeah.
and I looked behind him. It was him and his wife, and I'm like, oh my god, I love. I didn't say I love you, but I was like, I fanboyed out, and I'm like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. I love your physique. Good luck at the Arnold. And he ended up. I think that was the Arnold that he won. Did he win
Yeah,
last year? Yeah.
I
So
believe so.
that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. And his wife just walked on the treadmill next to him as they were doing
Ow,
cardio.
that's cute. I love that. It's like team effort. I
Yeah.
love that especially because like it's always gonna be. there's not going to be that dynamic of like, oh, you only, care about yourself. It's because like they get to do it as a team. So there's definitely support there. So I'm just like, I feel like that's like the magic thing to do. You never have to worry about, like your wife being mad because you're going to the gym because like she's your coach.
Yeah.
um, but he is competing at the Arnold again this year. I saw that confirmed.
Yeah.
He's like, I might as well, get the money for that too because it's pretty penny. Can you? Oh,
Yeah, it is. They keep upping them, up in the Arnold and the. I feel like they're all like trying to one up each other now with the prize money.
yeah. I wonder if the Arnold stream will be free this year. They haven't said anything, but I'm like, please be free. I want to watch it.
Cross our fingers. But we got to talk about the other crazy drama. Cbum won, of course. No one questioned that. Let's be honest. I know. Mike came in really well. Mike, I don't. He's always Mike the badass on Instagram, so that's what I always think of him as. Um, but Mike was really great. But Cbum won, but then retired, which is I think kind of expected, but it makes me so excited for Classic Physique for next year.
Same. I'm like, I cannot wait to see who the next reigning champ is after that long era, 6 years of
Six
just
years of
Cbum
no
killing it.
question.
Yeah, it's like he's got to retire just to give other people a chance because he's just going
Yep.
to keep going. Um, who do you think it's going to be if you had to take a guess?
I think I think we'll fight out with Mike and Urs for a while. I think Dino will be up there, of course. I don't like, but I didn't think he made a lot of like he didn't look great. At the Olympia. He didn't like improve much. It didn't look like. Um, so that's my thoughts. I think Breon. I like Breon as a I think he's entertaining to watch on Instagram and stuff, but I just don't think he will ever be able to kind of overtake those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, well, I mean, Mike's not super tall, but generally taller physiques do better in general, obviously, probably why Samson even because they're just more aesthetic. They could be big and aesthetic because they're just
Right.
longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably accurate. There might be some, up and coming people that, didn't or aren't close to their weight cap that have a lot of room to grow and improve. Whereas, like, where does Dino have to? He's already, at that cap, like, and I honestly, I feel like I got bored with his physique because it just, it looks the same. He's got these massive arms that make me laugh. And I feel like he would do great in open, to be real, because like the arms, if the
Mhm.
rest of his body could catch up to his arms, if it just allowed him to, eat and grow, I feel like he would be a very aesthetic open bodybuilder. And that is where I think he would have a chance. So, will he do it? I don't know, but I think it'd be a good shot for him.
Yeah. Well, that's what like I remember Breon said he was going to go to 212 and I thought he would have more of a shot there.
Yeah,
Um and I also don't want to discount. I've always loved Terrence Ruffin's
same.
physique
Yeah,
and he didn't compete this year. And he is amazing poser and he is a little guy, but I don't know. I've always loved his physique.
yeah, same. And I think he plans to come back. He just wanted to like take more time
Yeah.
to improve. So can't fault him there. Hopefully we do get to see him come back next year. It would be cool to see him in that lineup. Uh, will he have a chance without Cbum there? Because it was always him and Cbum for a while there,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Battling.
So yeah, so I'm wondering, if he's just like, I'm just gonna wait till you retire, dude, and then I'll come back because
It's
I
not
know
a
I
bad
keep winning.
idea because
It's
he
not.
can keep working. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Take that time to improve and come back. So he might bring a whole new, great package next year and be in the top three somewhere, battling it out with the others. There could be some younger guys that place lower but still have a lot of room to grow. So it's still kind of up in the air. It's a mystery. But
What
Cbums speeches are always the best at the end.
Oh, they're so good. He's so good at speaking. It's so good. It's funny though because he's so good at speeches, but he has the lisp, so you wouldn't think he would be good at speeches.
Yeah.
But it's so great, so
Yeah.
great. I have him on. I always keep his them saved for bad days.
Same. Same. Now we got six of them.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny because I don't even notice his lisp anymore. It has just become him, and that's another thing I love about him. He just teaches you how to just embrace everything about yourself. Like,
You sound a lot different.
yeah, it switched from my microphone. Why do you do this to me? I need a new microphone. Okay, there it is. Sorry.
You're fine.
So is it recording now? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like.
Yeah. Okay, we're recording. Oh well.
Cool.
Anyways, what were we saying?
His lisp and
Oh yeah.
embracing ourselves.
Yeah. So he just like, just like teaches you to just embrace who you are, and he's just there's some he's just so like wise. He's not even that old, but he's just turning 30, but I feel like he's just like the bodybuilding dad, and people go and like look up to him, and he's just this nice guy. And bodybuilders aren't usually known for like their
Kindness.
their kindness or um, being too smart necessarily. But he is. I don't know. He's always got great advice. So he's
Yeah,
sorry, go for it.
no, he's a good one. And I did see. I almost bought a shirt on Gymshark's last drop because since Cbum bought it, they had like a Cbum line, and it just said Shark, but it was Jim with instead of the S, it was a TH, so Jim Thark.
I love that.
I loved it,
Oh
but I
man.
didn't go for it. So, anyways, but that I'm very excited to see that who comes up on Classic now that Cbum's gone. It'll be really really fun. I'm excited about the future of like bodybuilding sport. So,
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to talk about with the Olympia? Or you want to move on to our topic for today?
So we could touch on men's physique briefly,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but
Sorry.
uh, Ryan Terry did win again. So he's like the only guy that came back and won again, which doesn't usually, I mean, I can't say usually, but hasn't happened for a second with men's physique. It's been a new person each year since like 2022, I think. Um, and I saw that, what's his face?
Banks.
Shit. Yeah, Aaron Banks. I don't think he's going to retire, but I think he's a little butt hurt, and he needs some time off. I think for sure. I think that's one of the things he said. The judge's feedback was that he was flat or like didn't have the pop, and so it's basically like, well, he probably didn't give his physique enough rest between competitions, and he just needs to kind of chill for a second. Um, but I would be very surprised if he hung it up. So that's about
Yeah,
all.
yeah. I don't think he's going anywhere. Um, but yeah. Well, let's talk about building other kinds of bodies. Uh,
Like cut and
so Cody,
paste.
yeah, Cody and I wanted to kind of just take the time to, since this podcast is mostly for trans folks or in such, we wanted to talk about kind of how you can stay on track when you're doing some gender affirming surgeries. So like top surgery, bottom surgery, histo. I'm gonna do my histo next year. So I'm excited about that. And Cody has been through a lot of the surgeries that and had to deal with the setbacks, and moved through them really successfully. So
Yeah. So just some tips and tricks to get through surgery without, losing your gains in your mind,
yeah,
basically. So
exactly.
do we want to start with, well, we can go from top to bottom. We can just
Let's go
start
from top to bottom.
with so yeah, top surgery tips. Do you want to start with that one?
Sure. So I got top surgery in 2017, I think, or 2018. I don't. I would have to double check, about then. And my fitness journey kind of came right after that, because I remember I signed up with you when I was still in the house that I was living in when I had top surgery, and
Yeah.
so um, mine wasn't so much about moving through. I did not do it well, is what I'm saying. I didn't listen to any advice. I wasn't in my fitness era yet, full blast. But um, I remember I started back very slow and with body weight stuff, and that was kind of the easiest way to do it. I know most doctors tell you at least 6 weeks before you're lifting anything heavy after top surgery, so that's very important. Um, but we can kind of get into what you want to do, what while you can't lift. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah. 'Cause that's the biggest thing, like being very limited, and how do you not just, lose all the muscle, or lose all your fitness while you're recovering.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you gotta take the surgery into consideration. You're very limited with upper body with
Yeah.
top surgery. So, what can you do? Things like walking. When you're cleared, to do a little more intense, like I did things like lunges. Just I was doing CrossFit at the time that I had top surgery, so I would just go and like lunge back and forth through the whole like workout, or I'd do like step ups, anything leg related. Uh, so basically, it's just doing what you can when you can. And if you think about it, there's probably only a good, unless it's bottom surgery, because that involves everything. But there's probably a good 2 weeks where, you know, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of much.
Yeah.
But after that, usually you can find a way to do something. And so it's just like I always encourage people to find a way to do something, because try to stick into your routine. Try to make it so you're not just falling completely off the wagon. Focus in on nutrition. Sometimes
Ooh.
during those first couple weeks, if you struggle with nutrition, it's a good thing just to like have this time to focus on that only. And that way, when you get to working out again, you've got your groove with your nutrition, and it's a lot easier to like just get right back into it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people whenever you're having any kind of like surgery and stuff, the biggest thing that I suggest is keeping your routine. Try to make your days look the same. If you normally go to the gym first thing in the morning, right when you wake up, go for a walk at that time. If you can't walk and you're not there yet, and find that time to fill it with something else. Maybe you're journaling about fitness stuff. Maybe you're researching something. Maybe you're getting some food prepped. But really try to keep that muscle memoried schedule, so you can kind of easily get back into it when you're ready.
Yeah.
And again, all in kind of along the lines that you were talking about, scale your fitness to whatever it has to be at
Yeah.
that time. So if you can't work out, walk. If you can't walk, stretch. um, just try to keep thinking of ways to move forward, even if they're baby steps.
Yeah. And also, I know for me, through every surgery, there's always the concern that you're going to lose muscle mass, even if you're doing what you can. And it's just like that discouraging kind of. Um, Sorry, did you see that?
Uh-uh.
Oh, it was like the apps. It was working on reconnecting. I'm like, what are we reconnecting to? So basically, it's like if you're someone who's very nervous about having surgery because you don't want to take a break from the gym or you don't want to lose the muscle that you worked for, first of all, you're probably not going to lose. It's like basically after the 2 week mark is when your body will kind of start letting go of some muscle mass. So it's kind of a non issue for the first 2 weeks. So try to just keep it out of your mind for 2 weeks and not worry about it. Do some things that you haven't had time to do. Relax, anything that brings you joy or comfort. And then
So
when the two
stay
weeks,
there.
yeah, and the 2 weeks come around, just know it happens slow. And also, it comes back quicker the second time around. Like muscle memory is real. And I just recently did a little like, I posted my, process through my last surgery of like not being in the gym, and the most I was out was about 3.5 weeks. So it wasn't super significant. And if you think like, oh, you don't really start to lose muscle until about 2 weeks. So then I had like 1.5 weeks where maybe I was losing some muscle and you could tell, visually a little softer, but it came back, I feel like within like 3 weeks, I would say. So it's not going to take you years to build up that muscle again, like the first time. So not to say you're going to lose all of the muscle and like go back to where you started. It just feels like that sometimes, but it's not. So it's just like try not to worry or stress too much about the muscle mass loss. You will get it back. It's just when you get in those mindset of thinking like, oh my God, I'm starting over, it's a lot harder to actually like get back into it. So try not to think that way.
No, well, and I think also you can logic your way into that mindset just by like, well, I know I didn't build it in a week, so it's not going to be gone in a week because
Right.
we have to have those have to equal each other, right? So we're not going to lose everything just like we didn't gain everything. So you can kind of try to reason yourself like that. Just keep it simple. Keep up your protein intake.
Yes, that especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do we want to move into the next surgery? Do we want to talk more about um, that process?
Yeah. Do you want to go with the histo? So we're moving
Sure.
from.
I haven't had it.
Uh,
I'm hoping to get mine in February. So I just got a referral yesterday.
nice. So, well, I feel like for me, histo was the easiest surgery I've had. Waking up was kind of not so much fun because you it was painful upon waking up, but once they get that under control, it's pretty simple. I just felt like I had like really bad cramps, and I think I like was like, what the fuck? It was more of a mind fuck. How do I get rid of these now? Because what is happening? But then they give you the pain meds, and it works really well. And then you just basically have to watch your fiber intake around that time because it's gonna hurt. They do kind of like blow you up with air during the surgery. So, like, you're a little bit bloated coming out of it, and you're going to have constipation due to the anesthesia, due to any pain meds. So, if you're eating, more fibrous foods, it's going to add to that gas that you're already feeling, and it's going to be more painful. It's going to be crampy. It's not going to be fun. So, just kind of go easy on the fibrous foods post, you know, histo. Maybe take like Miralax. Probably start that even like the day before just to keep things soft because that's going to be the main thing that is going to be painful. So Miralax like 3 times a day, at least until you're like off the pain meds, and you can start eating normal foods. But definitely just be careful about not going too crazy on the foods because it is right in that digestive area that can just be god awful. But the hardest part too about the histo, as long as it is laparoscopic, you feel almost normal by like 1 week out. So you have to remind yourself to not do too much because you have internal stitches outside of just like the little ones. Depending on what kind you had, I think I had like 3 incisions, and then one that was in my belly button. Some is just the belly button, and depending how they do it. But yeah, it's you feel so normal. And by 2 weeks, they told me I could lift anything under 20 pounds, and that's actually how I got into bodybuilding. So I was doing CrossFit, and CrossFit is way too intense. There's nothing under 20 pounds, not even the fucking bar. So I got a gym membership and I started doing everything with just 20-pound dumbbells. And I was like, actually, this is the shit. So that's another thing. Like, do what you can when you can, even if it's, maybe your doctor says you can only lift 15 pounds. Use that, just do more reps, get a little pump in, and that keeps your routine going. You're like really out of the gym for only like 2 weeks. And yeah, you just get right back into things a lot quicker.
That's good. That is good.
Yeah.
I again, the same things as top surgery is watch your food, do what you can when you can, and take care of your mind. So
Yeah, that's the most important thing, for any surgery is just make sure you have a support system or someone to like get you out of the house, get you out of your head when you need. Because I feel like, post-op depression, it's like you like to think it's not going to hit you, or the more experienced you are, that it's not going to hit you, but it's like, nah, you're not special. It's going to come in, it's going to affect you. So just kind of prepare for it, accept that it's going to happen so you can recognize it, and then, cope in healthy ways.
yes, and not lose all your motivation.
Exactly, because depression has a really good way of doing that.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we want to go down to bottom.
Yeah, let's go down to the underpants.
Underpants.
So yeah, bottom surgery is very involved depending on your surgeon and what stages. Some do it in multiple stages for like the. So for me, I had stage one was very invasive. They did the phallus construction, vaginectomy, urethral hookup, all in one shot. And I know if you have Kaiser, they like to just do like phallus construction first, and they won't do the UL until a later point. And I guess it just depends. Some think that there's less complications that way, or some do like the UL, basically do metoidioplasty first, and then they'll do the phallus construction later. I was happy to have it all pretty much done in one phase because I was like, I don't have time for that. I have to go back to work. Like, get as much shit in one phase as you can. When they do that, it is a lot at once. Your arm is fucked. You can hardly sit or walk because you had the vaginectomy, and it's not fun at all. It's one of the more painful parts, I feel like. And then you also have to like support your new phallus because it needs blood flow. So you're walking around with a boner when you're able to walk. But yeah, you're in intensive care for 4 days, and then for the fifth day you're in like normal hospital, and then you go home on the sixth day, but you don't even get out of bed until the fifth day, and they get you up and you sit in a chair. So that's how involved it is, and that's what it makes it harder to do what you can when you can. They want you to walk as much as you can, but you're like shuffle stepping. Like, I look like an old man walking because everything hurts. Oh yeah, and you have the leg graft front that they use for your arm. You've got two catheters. SP catheter just goes straight into your bladder from your abdomen, like it's an incision, and then the Foley catheter that goes through the phallus. You just have all sorts of shit. Like, you don't even know what is happening anymore. But as you heal, you get to do more and more. Walking was the first thing. So, even if walking is all you can do to start walking. And also, nutrition is going to be huge. The more you pay attention to your nutrition, also the less less cleanup you're gonna have to do once you're able to like get back into things. Um, but through every stage, when you finally get cleared with your arm, cool, now you can lift. So go back into that slowly. It's gonna hurt to sit for a while, so just be aware of that. Dumbbells are not really a friend. It's hard to get dumbbells up when you're like, oh, it's just a lot of weight on that area. So machines might be your best friend. Um, but it does heal up eventually. It's a long one, but if you have complications and stuff, there's going to be a lot of times where you are kind of back and forth, do what you can when you can, into surgery, recovery. But same applies, even if it's more intense, same rules. Try to stay in your routine. Make sure you have a support system. I think even more so, specifically with phalloplasty, it is incredibly important to have a support system because it can get very lonely, and it's not shit you can really Google. You can't be like, is this normal? There's not much out there. So even there are Facebook groups and stuff that you go in for some community support with people who have gone through it that can, help with questions or if you're feeling concerned. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's just keep doing what you can.
Yeah. Well, and that there is hope, like that you do heal up, that you do get back, and then you're unstoppable. Let that time be like a motivating thing for you. I know it can be really hard, especially for the long ones, but come back with fucking vengeance. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing too. Like sometimes it's hard to get back in the groove after surgery, but sometimes you come back more motivated because you realize how much you missed it. And just like relationships, like sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder, and you're just like, oh, I can't wait to get back to that. Whereas if you didn't have that break, maybe you would be burned out or just going through the motions.
Who knows? Who
So,
knows?
yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody has any other questions about this, definitely shoot us a message. We can always talk about other things on the podcast if you have questions about surgeries or moving through surgeries and that kind of thing. But let's hear some power talk, Cody. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So, power talk. So, this one. Yeah. All right. I'll just see. There's no intro to a power talk either. It's just awkward all around. So, hard work is only sacrifice when you don't have a goal. When you know what you want, you see hustle as an opportunity. And I like that one because it's very true. It's like seriously feels exponentially harder when you don't know what you're working towards. And I think people not knowing their true why behind things is why a lot of times there's frustration, impatience, and then there's quitting that usually follows because it's like, it's hard. Like it is hard work. And if you don't find a purpose behind it, why would you keep doing it? Because all you're seeing is what you're sacrificing. And bodybuilding, there's a lot of sacrifice. So if you're not actually into it or like don't have a goal or a why behind it, of course you're not going to last long.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Yeah, it's hard to do something you don't want to do when you don't see the delayed gratification part, like when you don't have the carrot in
Yeah,
front of you.
exactly.
Yep, completely agree. I love that.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, until next time, friends, rate and review. Make sure you follow and share this with a friend if you
Yeah.
have a friend who you think would like it. We're trying to get out there. So if you have any questions or any topics that you want to hear, shoot them over.
Yes, please do. All right,
Hell yeah.
guys.
Adios.
Peace.